Good morning, everyone on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you're watching this, good afternoon. We're now in day 3 of free agency. This episode is going to be mainly about the first 2 days, somewhat what happened today already, but we're going to go over what happened the last 2 days. And a whole bunch of stuff happened in the NBA. A whole lot of shifting, a whole lot of people becoming contenders, and now people losing their spot in the playoff ranks. So let's start with the East and the Bulls, because the Bulls made a bunch of moves come Monday and Tuesday, or Monday generally. So the Bulls made a sign and trade 3-year deal with DeMar DeRozan. Lonzo Ball signed a 4-year deal, and they got my fan favorite, my personal favorite on the Lakers, Alex Caruso, signed a 4-year deal with them. We're gonna start this topic with Michael because he's the Bulls fan here. So, Mike, what you feeling on this moves?
Man, you can only be happy. I mean, my team's they're finally like doing something positive. It started last year at the trade deadline. They went for Vucevic. They got him. They missed the playoffs. Some unfortunate things happened at the end of last season, but that's fine. You know, all these moves, they were addressing the issue. We needed a real point guard. We got that in Lonzo. We have some bench help in Caruso, and DeRozan is just kind of fills out our big three. The only thing I will say, they lost Tice. He got traded to the Rockets, and I think that's a big deal because their front court is extremely thin now. I think their only center right now is Vucevic, and their only power forward is Markkanen, who's a restricted free agent. So they're not done, I don't think, in free agency. They're going to have to sign some big guys. But, I mean, they're almost surely a playoff lock now. It scares me to say, but they're almost surely there. And it's 3 great moves.
Yeah, I said it in the group chat yesterday. I'm happy for you, man. The Bulls making moves, man. I mean, everybody's making moves, but I mean, y'all got a great defender in Lonzo Ball, which I think is one of the most important things you can have in the league today. A guard who can pick up and guard the other team's opposing best offensive guard. So that's big for you guys. And Lonzo's become a great shooter. DeMar, you can't say enough about him. He can take over the game at any point when he needs to. So there's not as much pressure on LaVine now. And Caruso is, I think, one of the most underrated bench players in the league. He's a great player. He gets active. I think he showed out for the Lakers in the playoffs this year. So to have these guys and to have them locked up for a few years is just – it's good news for the Bulls, man. And they've got a legit team now. They really can compete. How far they go, we'll have to see, but they look good. They look really good, so you got to be happy for them.
Mike, I love the moves for your team, man. I love the moves. Right off the bat, when I see the signing that they made, the acquisition that they did, you already got to bump up to a tier. You got to put them in that tier 3, tier 2 type in the East, because we know the big dogs are the Miami Heat now, the Bucks and the Nets. They're the top 3 teams. We know that already. But you could put there's an argument to put the Bulls in that 4 to 6 range easily because they have the talent. Like you said, Prava, Lonzo Ball improved his shooting. Great open fast break passer. One of the best perimeter defenders in the league since he's came into the league. DeMar DeRozan, a seasoned vet who's been there, hasn't been to the finals, but has been to the Eastern Conference Finals twice. And the bald eagle himself, Alex Caruso. You guys got a perfect squad. And I hate to say it, but my Lakers are going to miss Alex Caruso because of the little things he does. What he does is you're not going to see it in the stats because it's more hustle plays, more smart IQ plays. It's setting this back pick, taking the charges, diving for loose balls. If you want someone that does it all and doesn't really get the glory, Alex Caruso's your guy. And I'm happy for you, Mike. And the Bulls are gonna be a fun team to watch, especially with that backcourt of Lonzo and LaVine. It's gonna be crazy. And then you gotta add Vucevic to it.
Everyone's forgetting about him. They're all forgetting about him.
4. That's a solid 4 right there.
Got to relish in the moment, man.
I know, that's true. And you have the rookie Patrick Williams, who's probably going to start at the 4, and he had a great rookie year. So great defensive player. They have a front court and a backcourt defender. I'm excited.
So, like, just look at the starting lineup. You got Lonzo at the point, Zach LaVine at the 2, DeRozan at the 3, Patrick Williams at the 4, Vooch at the 5. It can't get better than that. You have 3 All-Stars on that team. A potential 4th, because Lonzo Ball does have all tools to become an All-Star. It's just him putting it all together. So that's potentially 4 All-Stars on one in a starting lineup. I haven't been this excited for the Bulls since when Derrick Rose was there. So happy for you, Michael. Happy for you. We're gonna move on to the Lakers now, and dang, that's all I can say. That's all I can say is just Rob Pelinka did a whole bunch of. Rob Pelinka is just. I'm not surprised anymore, even though I kind of am, because if what we've seen when he first took over, after Magic left, he's had this is his 3rd straight great offseason. You talk about the 2019-2020 free agency. He got Dwight Howard the first time, Danny Green, re-signed Caldwell Pope. No, he didn't re-sign Caldwell Pope. Yeah, Danny Green. He got Dwight Howard, Avery Bradley. I can't remember. He brought back Rondo.
Is that when Markieff Morris joined also?
Yeah, Markieff Morris in the buyout contract. And you go to last season where he found a way to get Dennis Schroeder in a deal for Danny Green. Got the reigning 6-man in Montrezl Harrell. What we thought was a good deal in Marc Gasol. It's just the way that he can slither around and get these type of players. It's surprising, but it's not, because this is already a 3rd straight year he's been able to do something like this. So I think the most important signing out of all of these people that they got was a Dwight Howard one easily, just because we saw what they missed last year when he wasn't there. Tough down low defender, brought energy, and honestly can still run the floor at almost 40 years old. So I love all the signings that Rob Pelinka did. What do you guys think?
I mean, of course, I think all of this gets still overshadowed by Westbrook. But I think putting that aside, I think the most important is a mix of Carmelo and Kendrick Nunn, just because it adds someone off the bench that I think, especially Carmelo, that LeBron won't be afraid to just say, okay, you take over for 5 minutes, we're going to rest. And Carmelo will just go out there and shoot. And I mean, he's good at that. Shooting, he had the shooting award a couple years in New York. He can still get buckets. He did it in Portland. So, I mean, LeBron had a hand in all these. So he's definitely happy. So, but the Lakers, they're looking good. This is a lot of signings in the first 2 days.
Yeah. I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. As your friend, Jesse, I'm very happy for you. You got a nice team going. But I'm frustrated because this team is way too good. This team is way too good. It's like a 2K my team. Seriously. I mean, stuff you see in video games, but I mean, they look complete. They look really complete. I know before last season started, we thought the Lakers had a very complete bench. Turns out that wasn't the case as the season went on. But now you've got a lot of guys, a lot of new guys where you can look at and say, this could work. This really could. And I think Carmelo Anthony is one that people are really sleeping on, because there's a huge narrative when he was in OKC that it was or when he went to Houston that he was washed, his career was over. But he's really stepped up since then, and he was a really, really good player for Portland. They are going to miss him, I think. He was a spark plug, and he could still become that 25-point scorer on any given night when he wanted to. Dwight Howard, even though he's not the same player he used to be, is still, I think, one of the best rim running players in the league. So gotta love him, like you said, Jesse. That's going to be great for your team. The rest of these guys, I mean, Kendrick Nunn, like you said, Mike, I mean, still a great guard, someone you'd love. That's a luxury to have off your bench. And then Taylor Horton Tucker is just going to keep getting better. I think one of the biggest things, Malik Monk, who was a pretty high draft pick, is going to be playing alongside LeBron James and all these guys. I think Malik Monk is going to really come into his own this year because he's had a pretty tough start to his career so far, I would say. But now you get to play alongside LeBron James, and we've seen it 100 times. LeBron makes everybody who he plays with better. It's just a proven fact. And Monk's going to get better, and this team is really going to benefit from that. And he's going to be a good shooter, a good offensive piece to space the floor. So, yeah, Jesse, man, I mean, I know you're happy. I know you're happy with all this. So let's hear your thoughts, man.
I want to speak on those two signings you just said, Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn. Malik Monk is barely entering his 4th year in the league. Kendrick Nunn is barely going to enter his 3rd year. We got Malik Monk for a veteran minimums of 1.7 mil, 1-year deal. Kendrick Nunn, these are mid-level exception for a 2-year 10 mil. 2 years, 10 mil, so 5 years each, with the player options for the 1st year. If these guys go anywhere else, they're easily commanding from either from 8 million to 12 million a year. If they go anywhere else, so that just shows that ring chasing at its finest. Honestly,
It is.
if we're being honest, ring chasing at its finest. But I mean, that's the allure that Los Angeles has, especially when you have 3 superstars in LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis. How can I forget Anthony Davis? That just shows that's just a luxury right there that players are gonna want to come and win championships, because it's hard to get good talent for cheap prices, especially when you're really against the cap like the Lakers are with those 3 superstars. So I love all the picks. I think Robert Pelinka, Executive of the Year once again, should be for the 3rd time in a row, in my opinion. But I love all the picks. Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard. You got 6 future Hall of Famers on this team. Easily 6. People are saying 5. I say 6 because they're not including Marc Gasol, who I think is a future Hall of Famer. And then you bring back Talen Horton-Tucker on a 3-year, $37 million contract, where he easily could have got 50 somewhere else. So just the fact of that is, it's amazing. I'm excited for the season. It's funny because the first day people were saying, "Oh, the senior citizen club with the Lakers," because we signed all these old players. And you go past day 2, and people are saying, "Oh, you got to we got a stacked team. We got a stacked team." It's funny how the narrative switches. But if we're on the topic of the senior team and bringing back old faces, bring back Robert Sacre.
Robert Sacre.
We need a big anyway. Just
Where is he?
Sacre.
Gosh.
Last time I saw it, I think he was in the Philippines or China.
Oh my!
Bring back Robert Sacre or Roy Hibbert.
The only thing I'll remember Sacre for is when Kobe said, "Move, I'm sitting down."
Oh my gosh!
So hopefully Lakers 2022 chance. Hopefully we see how Bulls Lakers match up.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right.
That'd be something amazing.
As long as the Bulls are there.
That'd be something amazing.
Yeah, y'all are having fun with this.
We're gonna go back east because another team made a bunch of moves to become a legit contender once again, and that's the Miami Heat. After re-signing Jimmy Butler to a 4-year, $185 million contract, a sign-and-trade deal for Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson is staying for a 5-year, $90 million contract, and PJ Tucker for a 2-year, $15 million contract on the mid-level exception. Thoughts?
All right. This is a dangerous team. Not that all the players are going to jump off the page at you, but I don't think anyone wants to play them in a 7-game series. They just have – and they also got Markieff Morris. They're just – their defense is just going to be insane. Imagine a lineup with Butler, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, and Bam. It's going to be tough to score on that team. But that they definitely underperformed last year after getting to the finals, which was a bit of a surprise. So they kind of had to do this. I think losing Dragic and Kendrick Nunn will do something to them because they're going to have to get a backup point guard now for Lowry. But I mean, Lowry is he's still an all-star level player. Every contender wanted him. He does all the intangibles. So this is definitely, like you said, Jesse, they're definitely in the same tier as Bucks and Nets.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are great signings, and really, you could argue they had the best offseason outside of like maybe the Lakers or the Bulls. I mean, there's a real argument for them, but there's one signing to me that really stands out that I think the Heat got a steal for, and that's PJ Tucker. 2 years, 15 million. I mean, he just won an NBA Finals. I mean, and he could have stayed. I think he could have stayed in Milwaukee for more, but he left his championship team to go to another team for less. And honestly, like if you're the Heat, you have to be happy with that. PJ Tucker is an amazing asset to have on your team. And I would argue that they probably don't win that finals without him. I think defense is so overlooked in this league today, and the way that he can pick up any guy on the floor and kind of zero them out whenever you need him to is huge. And so, like you said, Mike, I think scoring on this team is going to be a challenge next year. And these guys can still score. They've got scores, they've got defense. The only thing they need now is to build up a little bit of that bench. But I mean, props to the Heat, man. Props to Pat Riley. I guess he's doing his thing over there, and South Beach is having a good old time down there. So real good offseason for the Heat. Really, really good offseason.
The Jimmy Butler max extension, that was much deserved, especially after what he did in the bubble and getting them to the finals. There's no other way to there was no words to describe it because it was something that no one ever saw coming. And the fact that he gave it his all, especially against the juggernaut Lakers back then in 2020, the fact that he almost pushed it to a game 7, the man deserved every penny that he got. So I'm glad Jimmy Butler got his money. The Kyle Lowry trade, I mean, like you said, Mike, he's still at an all-star level caliber, still an all-star level type player. Great decision maker, can shoot the 3 ball really efficiently, and not someone that needs the ball in his hands 24/7 to be effective. He can catch and shoot. He can once he gets the ball, he can dish it back out, give and goes, give it to someone else, set screens. He's a big guy too, so he's able to get down in the post as well. Duncan Robinson, I think that was, besides signing Jimmy Butler, I think that was on the top of their list for sure. Number 2, because what Duncan Robinson offers is it's rare to find a shooter like him, especially at that level that he shoots at and how effective he is, because that's not generally just his game. He's not off the ball, on the ball, on the dribble, off the dribble type scorer or anything like that. He just set him screens, give him any type of space. His quick trigger will go in. So I love that signing. PJ Tucker. I just want to ask you guys this: why do you guys think he left Milwaukee for Miami?
Oh, you know what? I think I've actually got an answer. I think he honestly thinks that the Heat have a better chance to compete this year again than the Bucks do. That's the only way I can see it. He probably wants to win again because he's taking less money too. I think if I'm PJ Tucker, I'm thinking like we won one, but he's probably not confident they can go back again because more than likely the Nets are going to be healthy, the East is going to be healthy, and maybe he just didn't see Milwaukee as enough. That's not taking anything away from Milwaukee, but it would be unfair to say that they didn't get there without some injuries and some help on the way. So that's my thinking. I think Tucker saw that and said, it's not like a fluke here, but a lot of things fell into place for the Bucks to get where they did. And so I don't think he wants to be reliant on that again. Rather go to a team where he feels more comfortable about controlling his own destiny, if that makes sense. Not taking anything away from the Bucks.
I think the Heat is just like it's like a textbook PJ Tucker team. Like they have all of those type of guys that just want to like grind on defense. The Heat almost looks like a team where you either have to play defense or you have to be able to shoot threes, or they just won't take you. And I mean, PJ Tucker can do a little bit of both. But I mean, they had players like Jay Crowder, and I put like Jay Crowder and PJ Tucker almost in the same category. They're like kind of the same height, shoot threes, play crazy defense. So I mean, Prabhat might be on something that he sees the Heat as more of a contender, but I think also he just sees himself fitting into the Heat more.
It's crazy that you brought up Jay Crowder, because I was gonna say that's literally what the Heat were missing. That's one of the pieces that the Heat were missing last season. And now that they got PJ Tucker, someone who's able to grind it out on defense and shoot threes at a high level, I think it's great that they did that. I think the PJ Tucker signing was also a good fit, because say if they do meet against Brooklyn, we all know who's going to guard Kevin Durant. PJ Tucker. So I'm glad to see that the Heat are thriving again. I mean, I'm cool with like Stephen A said, he wants that Miami LA finals. I wouldn't mind seeing that either. But hey, Michael, I'm sticking with the Bulls Lakers finals, all right?
No, I maybe it'll be Miami Heat Clippers.
Nah. So we're talking about Steph Curry. He re-signed with the Golden State Warriors for a 4-year, $215 million contract, becoming the first player to ever sign two $200+ million contracts. Well deserved. That's all I gotta say.
There's not much to say about it. He deserves it
all time.
Yeah. He stayed with the Warriors. I think if LeBron stayed with one team, he would have got these kind of contracts. But since he's moving around, he doesn't. I mean, Curry obviously deserves it. So we can't really say anything else.
I would add something, but Steph Curry.
Retiring a Warrior. I mean, you love to see these type of deals, because by the time his contract ends, because right now, how old is he?
I think he's 33.
By the time he ends, that's gonna be like almost 40. Let's see. By the time he's
33.
Yeah, he'll be 37 by the time that one ends.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
And I think by that time he'll be retired by then.
Yeah. Maybe.
So,
yeah.
Curry retiring a Warrior. It's rare that we see players retire with only one team. Glad to see him do it.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna go back to the East, to Atlanta, the hot Atlanta. Because Atlanta extended their two young duo and Trae Young to a 5-year, $207 million contract, and John Collins this morning to a 5-year, $125 million contract. They got their duo back for 5 years too, and we saw the potential that they had in their first playoff run. What do you guys think? Are they going to be able to replicate what they did last season in the playoffs, or this is a waste of a signing?
I don't think it's a waste of a signing, because I mean, you gotta, like, this is their core, so you gotta lock it down as long as you can. But I think they need to make other moves, because I don't think their team, if they just take in the team they had last year, I think like other teams like Bulls, Heat, they're all getting better and they're kind of staying stagnant. So I mean, they're definitely a contender for like the 4 seed, I guess, if we're just saying the other three will get the top 3. But they need to make some other moves. But I mean, this is the first step, obviously, to building like a dynasty in Atlanta. You got to keep your 2 best players for as long as you can.
Yeah, any guy who can give you 30 and 10 for a season, which is what Trae Young is, you pay him. And I'm happy that he got paid. I'm really happy that this playoffs happened, because he was one of my favorite players, and he silenced a lot of the people that were just talking negatively about his game, that said his defense was a problem. that he could never be a part of a championship team because of his defense or whatever. I think all of that has been put to silence now. That narrative is done. So well deserved. I was really, really happy for him. And he deserves it. He deserves every single penny of it. He's a great player and he makes his team better. John Collins too. I mean, he really showed what a dynamic second option he could be. I'm not sure what game it was, but the team just went cold, I think, against the Bucks or the Sixers, one of those series, and he lit it up multiple times that series when they couldn't get anything going. So both of these guys, man, they're fun. They're a fun young duo. They're really fun to watch. And I think after this year, you have to pay them. I think the city of Atlanta is going to be in for some good basketball the next few years. They're still probably one piece away from competing, but this is the first step. You got to lock up your core guys, and then you move some pieces around, and then you get that third. I think you could be in for some competition. You never know. There always seems to be one team that just comes out of the blue. 2 years ago was the Miami Heat. Last year was the Hawks. So we'll just have to see.
Right away, what this shows me is that they're gonna be a really hot destination to want to come to. The free agent they're gonna want to sign to, because we've seen what Trae Young can do in the postseason, averaging nearly 28 points and I want to say almost a double throughout the whole postseason, 28 points and I want to say like 8 or 9 assists. That in itself is amazing, especially at his size and age, and it's his first postseason. And he was 2 games away from going to the NBA Finals. Because I remember when the Hawks were playing the Bucks, I had a sense of belief that the Hawks were going to be able to pull it off. Had Trae Young not gotten hurt by stepping on the ref's foot. So who knows? They could have been in the finals this season if that never happened, because they were rolling. But I love the signing, much deserved by Trae Young. I think looking back now on the Luka Doncic trade, because those two will always be linked together, both teams won that trade without a doubt. Atlanta got their guy. Dallas got their guy. Atlanta's winning games in the playoffs. Luka, no comment, probably.
He's winning games with Slovenia.
Yeah, and I'm about to get into the Mavs in a second.
But yeah, I love the duo. They're sticking together. That pick and roll between the two is just nasty.
It's fun, man. It's fun.
We saw that off the backboard pass on Brook Lopez. So much deserved for both these teams. I'm glad that they were able to get the job done. Atlanta's looking like a hot free agency destination for those who maybe not the superstar level players, but the for sure mid-level type players, like the really good top tier role players. So hopefully they can get something done. But as of right now, I would put them above the Sixers just because they got passed through them, but they're still in that second tier level in the East.
Absolutely.
So let's head back to the West Side. Chris Paul returning to the Phoenix Suns on a 4-year, $120 million. By the time this deal's done, Chris Paul's going to be around 40 years old. Good signing, bad signing, so-so. What do you guys think?
I think the Suns had to do it no matter what, because he just got them to the finals. It would have been it probably would have upset some people internally if they just let him leave. But I mean, it is a long contract. Paul hasn't slowed down yet, but you have to assume maybe around like year 3 or the end of year 2 in this contract, there's gonna be some regression. But I mean, Chris Paul, he's a winner maybe not a championship winner, but he wins games. He's good for Devin Booker and for DeAndre Ayton for their development. I think it's a good deal just to keep Chris Paul. After Westbrook went to the Lakers, I think it was pretty obvious he was staying in Phoenix. But it's going to be tough for Phoenix to ever get back to the finals with all the other teams improving.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not pay Chris Paul. I mean, he is the reason they got there. I mean, Book and Ayton are great, but they don't get there without Chris Paul. And you saw that change immediately. But I'm with you, Michael. I don't know about 4 years because most point guards by that time they're done. They're not the same player. And Chris Paul has been one of those guys who has continued to be successful and win. I don't think there's many point guards in NBA history that can claim that. I mean, you have Magic, you've got Stockton. I mean, most point guards by then they're not winning many games, so they're not the cause of winning too many games. So I I don't think it's a bad deal, and I think the city of Phoenix really loves him. So, as with someone who has a lot of friends who love the Suns, he's a fan favorite. But I don't. It wouldn't have hurt to put in a team option after the second year. You know, if they can choose to exercise it, or second or third year. But 4 years, 120 million straight up. It's not a bad deal. It's a good deal, and they're going to continue to win if he's there. But he gets to 38, 39. It's not likely he's going to be the same player. So I don't know how I feel about the latter end of the deal.
I think they're in a tough they were in a tough situation because you can let him walk, but then you're gonna see your team digress drastically. Or B, what they did, sign him to a ridiculous amount of money, knowing that by the time his deal is done, he's gonna be up there in age. And like you said, point guards don't really at this stage in the career. He's defying. Hey, he's defying like all the odds right now because he had an MVP type season last season, and after many counted him out, saying he's too old, he can't play, blah blah blah, blah, blah that. So I would say he deserved it. Yes, he did deserve it. But if I was a front office, I think you're strong armed because not a lot of people are going to be saying, I want to go to Phoenix, especially a high level point guard on Chris Paul's level. So Chris Paul won, the Phoenix Suns won, but at the same time, they kind of didn't. because say he does digress, and Chris Paul, who we've known to have like a lot of injuries in the past, say he does digress and the injuries pile up, it's going to be hard moving that contract. And I think maybe if things don't turn, if they start to see things digress after the second year, we may see a trade situation, or maybe the last year of his deal. You may see a trade situation because by the time that happens, the cap is going to be like probably way higher than what it is right now. So this deal's going to be viewed as not cheap at all, not cheap, but more you can work around it. So I'm so about it. Glad Phoenix got their point guard, but you look everyone around, they're all way younger than him. So good now move, bad move for the future. And let's talk about other point guard who re-signed with their team. Mike Conley's staying in Utah, but they're also bringing Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside. I like the picks. I like the signings. They needed their point guard back in Mike Conley. They got that. Rudy Gay, a scorer off the bench. Another scorer off the bench. Can't go wrong with that. Hassan Whiteside, someone finally consistent who can give Rudy Gobert minutes on the bench. Can't be happier than that. Quinn Snyder, a defensive-minded coach. You got a defensive-minded Hassan Whiteside. Can't get better than that. Gobert is already one of the top shot blockers in the league. You had another top in Hassan Whiteside. You're not going to really dump off on production on defensive end. Maybe on offensive end, but not on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else you can say. Conley is a perfect fit there. He loves it there. You had to re-sign him. I think Rudy Gay is still a threat. I mean, he's still an offensive threat for sure. He's never been great at defense, but you don't really need that from a bench guy. Like you said, Hassan Whiteside, basically a mini Rudy Gobert now. So it works out coming off the bench. It would have been interesting to see if they got a center that had a different skill set than Gobert to see if, because like against the Clippers, Gobert kind of just got exposed. So I mean, it would have been nice to have another center to give him some minutes. So Jazz, they're definitely making improvements after they kind of crashed and burned in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think the big thing that people need to realize is that, Mike Conley wasn't healthy. So that really changed a lot for them. So who knows if they beat the Clippers or not had Mike Conley been healthy. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But you have to consider that. And then, yeah, I agree with y'all because that's exactly what I was going to say. Rudy Gay, just another scoring option. Love that. But I think the big one to me is Whiteside because when Gobert comes off the floor, things get difficult. So now that you've got Whiteside coming off the bench, giving you minutes, it's perfect. And I think Whiteside's a little bit more reliable scoring the ball. I think he can do that for you. So you don't have to have Gobert in there all the time. I think it's a really good big man rotation for them. So the Jazz just got better, man. They just got better. Great signings, and if their team stays healthy for the most part, like they did last year outside of Conley, they should be right back at the top easily.
Easily. Now let's go back to the East because we got another point guard that's on the move. Guard Kemba Walker agrees to a buyout with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He plans to sign with New York. As you guys should know, Kemba Walker is a New York native, so Kemba's going back home. And the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Kemba and New York is easily that prolific SEC tournament. SEC. I can't remember what Big East, the Big East tournament with the step back against Pittsburgh at MSG. Cardiac Kemba's coming home. I love it. They didn't get a superstar, but they got a star. They got an all-star level type player. They got a starting point guard. I think him and Randall are gonna be great. They're gonna be a really good fit together because they're both at that stages of the career where they both want to win and winning is their focus. So hopefully they can get it done because the Knicks, they didn't really have a good offseason so far. I think they overspent money where they shouldn't have, and they just let the moment pass instead of trying to build off what they did last season. So I think getting Kemba Walker was a good move because they needed a star. They needed a solidified star. But is Kemba Walker the answer? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But hopefully Kemba goes back to what he was with the Hornets. He was just not good in Boston at all. But like you said, the Knicks have not had a good offseason so far. They signed Derrick Rose to a big contract, and they signed Evan Fournier to a huge contract, which I did not expect, and I don't think is a good idea. But I think this one has a chance of working out. Someone had to take a flyer on Kemba, and I think New York is probably the best place he could have landed. So I'm looking forward to seeing him kind of have the ball more and not have to give it up as much.
Yeah, it's like a so-so signing for me. I mean, the market value on Kemba isn't crazy right now. And for a team that's trying to get to the next level, this offseason didn't really strike me as one that's going to get them there. At best, they're a first or second round exit. They probably should have beat the Hawks, but they didn't. So, I don't think they made any moves that really got them to that next level. And I don't think Kemba Walker puts them there either. It's a good team of solid guys, but nothing that really stands out to me. So I don't know. I'm nothing against Kemba Walker or the Knicks, but I agree. This is a pretty disappointing offseason if you're the Knicks. In a season where you just surprised everyone and you're looking to get better. Yeah, it didn't really strike me as a winning one.
Exactly. I feel bad for the people in New York because you see the Nets. You see the Nets what they have. I mean, KD, Kyrie, and Harden, and then they bring in Patty Mills, bring back Blake Griffin, re-sign Bruce Brown. I feel like the Nets are doing much more than what the Knicks are, especially because the Knicks have much more cap room to play with. They could have gone a lot of directions, but no. They could have got Lonzo Ball instead of signing for Kemba Walker. They could have, who
They
knows,
could have
maybe
done a lot of things.
they could. Yeah, I could have done a lot of things instead of trying to run it back.
I just don't like the Evan Fournier signing at all. So
Yeah, I don't get the signing of that either.
I don't get how he's on such a big contract, but it happens.
Man. So we're gonna go with that last topic of the day.
Oh my god.
Who's winning and who's losing free agency as of right now? We're each gonna pick one team. We're gonna start with Pravat. So Pravat, take it off because I know you've been holding it in this whole time. Who's winning right now?
Man, for me, I've got to go with the Miami Heat. And it's close. It's close between the Lakers, between those two guys. But what the Miami Heat did this offseason, man, has been crazy. I think they're the winners. I think they're in that tier now where they're serious competitors. And I really think they could beat anybody in the East because they're that good defensively. So they're my winners, but my losers are my Mavs.
Why? Why?
Because our big offseason move was to get Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock was what Mark Cuban and Donnie Nelson, not Donnie Nelson. We got a new GM. What our new GM sat down and thought was like, yep, this is what's going to get us to that next level. Reggie Bullock. Here's $5 million, man, or 7.5. I don't even know. I'm so frustrated with this team. Every year we're supposed to get some guy. It was supposed to be Dragic after a buyout. Didn't get him. It was supposed to be DeRozan. Now he's with you, Mike. At one point I was hearing stuff about Kawhi Leonard coming to Dallas. I mean, it seems like every time we just try to do something, we just pull a Dallas Mavericks and we don't do anything. So I'm probably a little biased because I'm sure there are bigger losers, but it just seems like we shuffled the bench around. Like I feel like a loser right now. Me and my team has made me feel like a loser. I'm upset right now, man. It has been another disappointing free agency for me. Happy for y'all though.
Thank you. All right. For winners, I think it's like almost a tie between Lakers, Heat, and Bulls. But I'm going to go with the Bulls. No bias. But I think out of those three teams, the gap that they've improved is higher than the rest because they go from a team that finished 11th to a team that should finish 4th, 5th, or 6th. And I mean, they've addressed every issue so far. All they really need to do now, I think they need to re-sign Markkanen just because they have no depth at power forward. I think they need to get another wing guy and then some center depth. But I mean, they're almost a complete team now, which is just great to see. So I'm gonna go with them as the winner. For loser, I think I'm gonna go with Portland, just because I think first of all, they didn't get the coach that Lillard wanted, so they already didn't make him happy. They haven't brought anyone in. They re-signed Norman Powell, which is good. I mean, he's a good player, but they also got rid of Carmelo, who was a big part of their whole team. So they're not doing themselves any favors keeping Lillard happy.
I was gonna say Portland. I was gonna say Portland, but as of right now, I say winner, my Los Angeles Lakers. No bias at all either. I just love the moves that we did because they were smart, strategic moves. They were good bargain deals as well. So you can't fault the Lakers for doing that. And when you have three superstars on one team, generally it's going to be easy to gravitate free agents, really good free agents, by the way, for those type of deals, especially on the low. So I gotta go with the Los Angeles Lakers. And for losers, I mean, I like you guys' picks with the Portland Trailblazers and the Dallas Mavericks. But for me, I got to go to the East, and I got to go with the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
On a year where they were on a year on a out of nowhere year where no one expected them to do as well as they did last season, with the momentum coming into the offseason, thinking that the Knicks are back, the Knicks are going to do something in free agency, and instead turn around and, like you said, Mike, give Evan Fournier a 3-year, $70 million contract in that range. I think the good thing that they did do was bringing back Derrick Rose, and that's because Derrick Rose chose to come back, not because they were like, oh, he had other offers to go other places. I wish I saw him go back to Chicago, honestly.
Same.
But
I think it'll happen.
I think it's gonna happen at least one. It's gonna happen towards the end of his career for sure, next coming years. But the momentum that the Knicks had, the way that the crowd was. I mean, you see the way that they went out in the first round. When many people saw them they beating the Hawks. I myself thought the Hawks were gonna lose, but yeah, just having all that momentum going towards this offseason. This is literally the biggest offseason that they had since when they had Melo. When they went before that 2013 season, when they went to the second round against the Miami Heat, I want to say, where they were making moves, and they got J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, Tyson Chandler. This was a free agency where I was expecting something like that, them getting actual solid pieces, but the Knicks are doing Knicks things. So can't say I'm shocked. I'm very disappointed. So the Knicks are my losers.
These are all valid losers. These are all 3 good picks for losers. So
I think there are a lot of losers so far.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I can't really think of any other one.
Anyone who just hasn't done a move yet, I think, can be seen as a loser.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, if we're not talking about them and they don't even come to mind, like,
yeah,
most likely a loser.
You said Clippers,
but they're gonna re-sign Kawhi. I think it depends if they can get Reggie Jackson back. I think it's a win.
I can't think of anyone else.
Maybe
you can't really say the Celtics because the Celtics are like they're still a playoff team.
Maybe the Magic. What have they done?
Oh, I want to say the Spurs, actually.
Spurs are a big loser. They're probably the number one, actually.
Yeah. I think the Spurs had a really, really bad offseason. They haven't had a good offseason in a while. I think we forgot about them.
The Spurs are messing up.
Yeah. All of them is struggling, man. We've collective awful offseason.
Well, yeah, that's gonna wrap up our show today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys again next time.